Hey everybody, welcome to the sound stage here with Kyle. I'm with from NLFX. I'm here with a very special guest here for our very first episode. A good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. We'll do the intro to him in just a second. But first, I just wanted to thank you guys all for showing up, taking a look at this new podcast we got going on, and I hope you see you guys a whole bunch in the future. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Who are you, and where do you live?
I'm just this strange guy on episode one. So
Absolutely, love it.
let's just dive right in.
Heck yeah.
So my name is Jesse Swanson. I own a company out of Omaha, Nebraska called Chaos Productions. We're a multi-op DJ and photo booth company, and been in business for about 19 years now, and just loving what we do.
That's awesome. Well, that's all you knocked off a couple of different ones. What's the name of your company? You're single op or multi-op, so that's fantastic. And you said you've been doing has Chaos been around for 19 years? And is that how long you've been DJing?
So I started DJing about 19 years ago. Did not turn into a multi-op until about 12 years ago. At
Okay.
that point, it was very um, testing out the multi-op concept, kind of bringing a
Yeah.
friend in because I was getting a lot of inquiries and stuff like that. And ironically, it worked very, very well. The first guy I brought in was fantastic. I wish he still worked for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then I made the move about 10 years ago out to Omaha, and that's when things just kind of exploded because I'm from a 7,000 person town in Iowa where I kind of outgrew, things were
Yeah.
bursting at the seams. I was DJing every wedding in town, but it just wasn't, I knew it could be a lot more. And we got out here to Omaha, and I got networking, and I got linked up with some really awesome DJs, and we started building a team. And now, right where we sit, we're in a really good spot. All of our DJs, but one that we just acquired this year, all of our other DJs have been with us 5, 6, 7 years. So we've got a good track record.
No, that's really awesome. And keeping people around for that long, especially for a multi-op, is really good. A lot of different ones you different see a lot of turnover and all that kind of stuff. So having a bunch of people around for that kind of time speaks to you running the company and then also how busy you keep them and all that kind of stuff. So that's awesome. Um, how did we meet?
So I know it was Facebook.
Yeah.
Um,
Mixed
I,
blessings,
I
I think it
think it,
is.
I think, I think it was one of those kind of dreaded, maybe Facebook Marketplace type groups where brides are always getting rochambeaued by bottom feeders and all
Yeah.
that dreaded stuff that I just totally try to stay away from now. But I think we just maybe kept seeing each other. I used to do a lot of reaching out to DJs from those groups. I would kind of look and see who they are, where they were. I'm big on networking, so I don't know if I reached out to you first or you reached out to me, but you definitely would have caught my eye as far as your style and like, hey, let's compare notes and let's just chat about
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. We've been comparing notes for what, 7 years now?
It's been a long time, and
It has been a long time. We've been comparing a lot of notes.
visually, I
Yeah.
think visually people can look at our photos and hear us
Yeah.
talk, and they know that our mindsets are very, very similar in how this business can and kind of should be ran.
Yeah. Yeah. We see things a lot eye to eye and that kind of stuff. So for sure. Yeah. The way I remember it is we met through a mutual friend at the time that unfortunately um, we always thought that things could be done better and he didn't. So neither one of us are really friends with him anymore. But and luckily he kind of hooked us up and we were going and talking and like you said, just everything grew from there and since then we've been at least a couple times a week talking about DJ stuff and how things are going and hey, what's this and how about this? And so it's been
Yeah, and it's also great to network with somebody that where our strengths and weaknesses kind of mesh with each other, if you will.
sure. Yeah.
You are a super analytical, like if you need to learn about something, you will spend as much time as you need
Yeah.
Googling and you will learn every single thing about it. And then I can say, Kyle, what did you learn?
Yeah.
Kind of explain it
No.
to me.
Yeah.
And then from my side, my club experience, maybe some mixing and stuff, we've compared notes as
Yeah.
far as equipment and styles that are good that way. So it's also good to network with people who you can kind of compare strengths and weaknesses with and learn from that way.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. You don't want, and I think sometimes, different groups on Facebook or wherever you might be, or even your friend group, you might get to a place where it's just kind of an echo chamber where everybody's just saying the same thing. And I feel like sometimes you don't always continue to grow from that. It's more of just, oh, well, he said this, so I think this, so I think that, so I think that, so I think that. And once you stop growing, you stop growing. So
Yep.
yeah. So I think it's a really good thing, like you said. Um, so another question I had kind of about you. What is it that makes you and Chaos stick out from the pack around Omaha?
Yeah. So it was a big push that I made when I moved out to Omaha. When I first moved to the city, I had a lot of companies and guys out here that I really looked up to, I admired. And then I started going to conferences and I started meeting people from not only my market, actually meeting people from around the country and seeing like, oh my gosh, this is way bigger than I ever thought it was, and there's
Yeah.
way more styles and way more ways to do this than
Yeah.
I had thought. And it really was then when I started going to conferences and meeting people from the East Coast and the West Coast and maybe the South, that they just do things differently. Their setups even kind of look different based on
Hmm.
geographic location. Maybe they're doing a lot more beach type weddings, or maybe they're doing a ton of barn weddings. So getting in those environments and sitting at tables with those people and comparing notes and just keeping my ears open and listening to them, that's really what I feel separated us from the pack in Omaha, was that open mind of, I don't just want to be the the top, like one of the top guys in Omaha. I want to separate myself stylistically to where people seek us out for our specific style, our look, our mixing style, our business personality. So there's a lot of dynamics to how we run the business, not just music, but also how we network with vendors and how we treat people leading up to the wedding day. So my focus has always been luxury, basically making weddings are so expensive and they cost so much
Hmm.
money. And I want people to feel like, maybe they don't get that on a daily basis. And I want them to feel on their wedding day like they are absolute rock stars, and
Yeah.
especially if they're spending good money, because our company, I feel, in our market does charge up there, kind of top
Hmm.
dollar with our market. And if they're paying those prices, I want them to feel like they're getting that value and hopefully more.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good way to think about it. Like, don't just be one of, don't get lost in the noise of all the other DJ companies that are around. Because, almost anywhere you are, especially, if we think about Omaha, it's what, about 1 million people or so
Mm-hmm.
right around
The
Omaha?
Omaha and surrounding communities
Yeah,
add up to about 1 million. Yep.
about 1 million people. So there's, what, probably 200 different people who DJ and do different things and all that kind of stuff. But if you're just another name or just another number that they can call, you don't know what's the reason for calling because you're
Mm-hmm.
close in the alphabet, you know. Um, I think, like you said it before, if you can stick out and learn those different things from other people, that's a great way to go about it because you might think you're doing really good, but then you talk to somebody at Wedding MBA or something like that, and they're just like, "Well, I do this to talk to my brides," and then it's just a light bulb, like, "Well, why the heck wasn't I thinking about that? What a great idea!" Like, and then you go back and you start implementing those things and all that kind of stuff. So we definitely don't all have, we don't have everything figured out, and that's always a learning opportunity for sure. So
Yeah. And I've always said I will never, ever claim to be the best, but I will always do my best to outwork any of my competition. So
yeah,
when it comes to our couples, they can rest assured that I'm putting 110% into it.
that's awesome. That's all, and then that's a really good thing for your clients and things. So awesome. So kind of a little twist here, a little bit. So if you had to think back over the 19 years that you've been DJing, and what is your favorite memory from a gig that you've ever done?
Ooh.
Doesn't have to be a wedding, doesn't have to be a thing. Is there a specific gig that you loved and you can really think about?
So I'd say I'd go two.
Okay,
I'll go
that's
one
fine.
that's up here and one that's down here, and I'll explain why. The first one, I think, DJing at the DJ Spinoff in Las Vegas was definitely
Sure.
a very a high point for me because it was a totally different stress level, a totally different environment when you're in a room with 500 of your peers.
Yeah, they're
You're
all
not
DJs.
DJing either. You're not DJing for wedding guests. You're DJing for not only other DJs, but these guys are in Vegas for a reason.
Yeah,
Like
music professionals.
they're
Yeah,
the top guys. Like
yeah,
they're paying to go to conferences. These guys know what they're doing, and you're on stage by yourself with the spotlights.
yep.
It was a challenge that I was very proud to take on. I won't lie. You can see in the videos, I was shaking like a leaf. It was, but I got off of that stage, and it was just a real good sense of pride to know I went up there, I faced my fears, and it was a great time. So that will live with me forever for sure.
I
If you
do have to
ever,
add. I do have to add
yeah,
something to that. I was there for that. Jesse and I went to that conference together. Um, I would say that you got the best compliment from a couple of people. Um, in that when they came up, they all asked you if you had pre-recorded the entire thing. So I think as a DJ, that's about as high of praise as you can get, as long as they believe you when you say, yes, I did actually play it.
so
I didn't
at
pre-record it.
first I took it a little offensively, but then I
Yeah.
started to think about it, and one of the things was, so I took that 20-minute set so seriously that I literally bought a $1,700 controller just to practice on because I didn't
Yep.
have the controller that we had to use in Vegas. So I bought the
Mhm.
controller just to practice on. And I worked on that set for 2 weeks straight. I never stopped. I set hot cues exactly where they needed to be set. That thing was scripted from the beginning to the end. I knew exactly where everything was going to come in. So, one of the big things why they asked that was because I didn't wear headphones.
Mhm.
Well, if I have all my hot cues set and I literally could have DJ'd that thing with my eyes closed, why would you have headphones? I
Right.
know what it sounds like. I don't
Yeah.
need headphones. Now, if I'm DJing a wedding and I'm bringing in a song to mix with another song I've never mixed the two before, yes, I need headphones to see if they
Yeah.
sound right, see if they're
100%.
lined up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that set specifically, I practiced that set more than I've ever practiced anything in my life, and
Yeah.
I knew it like the back of my hand. So it turned out to be a compliment.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah. And
And
yeah, what was the other one?
so the other, I guess I say favorite memory, but it's an emotional one. Was a father daughter dance that I did. I think, gosh, it's been 7, 8 years ago. And I tell the story quite often when I'm talking to couples that have family members that have passed,
Hmm.
because it's very hard to incorporate that stuff into weddings the appropriate way because you want it to be a happy day,
Yeah.
but you want to give that family member,
The
you know,
respect they deserve. Yeah.
right. So just to summarize it and make it real quick, the bride's sister called me a couple weeks before the wedding. The dad had passed about a year before. The bride's sister told me about this pair of work boots that the dad had that nobody knew existed, and she told me her story and what she was going to have happen. So we called her out for a father-daughter dance, and the sister brought out these boots, and she had the bride stand on these boots like they were her dad's feet, and then all her important men in her life came out periodically during the song. And I had a photo booth at that event, and I looked back at the photo booth guy, and he was bawling, I was bawling. It was just, when it comes to moments in weddings, that's what we're there to do. We're there to create moments. That's
Yeah.
what people are going to remember. That was a moment that I guarantee nobody at that wedding will ever forget in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I had something very similar. What same, unfortunately, same kind of thing. The dad had passed. Um, but with the one that I did, he passed like 10 days before the wedding. He had been sick for a while, and so they moved up the wedding to try to get it done before he passed, and they weren't able to. And so her brother came and did the dance with her, but those two, standing there playing the song for him, same thing, not a dry eye in the house. I was bawling like a little girl. It was it was a super special moment that I also won't forget. So things like that, it's really cool that you're able to be a part of it
Right.
and help
Yeah, I
script it
think
through and make
that was
sure.
the thing. So I'm getting married here in just a couple weeks. I met
Yeah,
with my wedding DJ, and we were talking about stuff like that. And basically, the way he explained it was, I mean, we all think of ourselves as DJs and wedding DJs, and he said a wedding is a production. It is a show. It is theatrical,
yeah,
and that's basically what I was proud of with that moment is that we made it theatrical and we gave it the
yeah,
respect that it deserved.
right. And that's the biggest thing, like doing things like that, because with the memorials and things, it's giving it the moment the respect that it needs, and deserves to have. And so that's awesome that you're able to do that for them, and
Yep.
it's something we all strive to keep going back to. And then so the other next question I have really about the business is, what is it that keeps you coming back week in, week out, giving that 110%? Is it the moments? Is like, what is it about this industry that for 19 years you're just like, nope, I'm not doing anything else?
Honestly, it's so I'm 41 years old. I've been a musician my whole life. I've been playing drums since I was 8. I was a band nerd in high school and just kind of lived music my whole life and got lucky enough found DJing as a way to keep performing as an adult. And I'm reminded constantly of how lucky I am to be doing something that's so fun and it allows me to live a life that I truly enjoy. I do not wake up every morning dreading going to work. I don't complain to my friends about how I get treated at my job. I legit brag about my job every day, and I think that's a blessing. I don't think very many people in the world get to do that.
Yeah.
Um, so, I guess the selfish answer is I get to live the life that I can only dream of living.
No, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's a fantastic answer, that it gives you meaning and purpose in what you want to do. So I think it's fantastic. And we are really all lucky if we can find something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I've only been with NLFX for, 7 months now, but I can honestly say that since I don't feel like I've worked a day, because I get to talk to cool people like you and some of the other people that we know in the industry. I get to talk to them every day about DJ equipment, about DJing the next wedding, about, hey, what are we going to do to overcome this problem? Which, like you said, I would sit and research anyway, whether or not I was working here. So, it just it's so much fun. I don't dread going to work. I just get up and it's a fun time to do it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, the day you told me you got that position, like that job was made for you. Like
Yeah.
I know the jobs you've done in the past, and you take everything to the max. You're going to do it the best you can do, but just your mindset and how you work and how your brain works, like this is your job.
I'm I'm so excited that I get to do it every day. So, all right. Now that we've gotten to know you, we've gotten all that kind of stuff. Now we're gonna get into the stuff that every DJ likes to talk about all the time, the equipment. When it comes
Let's
down to
go.
everybody likes to talk about gear. Um, so the big first thing is, so what audio equipment do you use? What's the main stuff you use? Let's start with speakers. What kind of a speaker guy are you?
Um, so I'm a little bit different. I have two main setups based on the venue and situation. So one of my setups I use Evolve 50s, and one of my setups I use RCF J8s.
Yep.
And really, the determining factor in that, first and foremost, is how much low end I feel I need for that job.
Mhm.
And the other thing is the Evolves fit perfectly inside of one of my booths. So it's just super convenient that one trip in, I could just roll in and it's my DJ booth and my speakers. So I would say I use my Evolve 50s probably 75% of the time.
Okay. All right. And you're a white speaker guy, right?
So I went to the all white look quite a few years ago.
Yep.
I've gotten grief about it that, it's cliche or how do you keep it clean? And
Yep.
people that know me in real life, know that I always wear white ball caps. And
Yep.
one guy asked me one time, he said, "Damn, do you buy those in bulk or what?" And he asked me as a joke, but the truth is I have like 12 sitting over here right now. And as they get dirty, I rotate them into work hats and gym hats. And
Yeah.
but to me, I went to white. White to me resembles, we're in weddings, purity,
Yeah.
um, but it's also classy. And I think if you're in any position and you can keep white equipment looking new, that shows how much you care about it and how well you take care of it. So that
Yeah.
just kind of went with our luxury brand, I guess.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And then you said that there's another setup like with the J8s and stuff. So um, what setup is that for?
So I shout out to
Oh,
for
sure. Yeah.
Danny Max for getting into the DJ industry. I own one of his very first, the first conference he brought his first DJ booth to. You and I both walked up to him and handed the
Yep.
credit card that day. So
Yep.
we have a couple of the OG Danny Max DJ booths,
Yep.
and that DJ booth I usually roll out with the J8s just because I don't have a road case that self-contains the Danny Max that the
Mhm.
J8s will go in
Yep.
yet.
Yep.
Uh, Hopefully we will someday soon, but they just roll together pretty well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so in your thing, so in that first DJ booth, what do you run for? So we have Evolve speakers, but what do you run for controller? Do you run turntables? What do you run?
So for the longest time, I was rolling with Technique 1200s and an S9 in a Toad booth.
Okay.
Um, love the Toad booth. I never thought I would mix video until I got one, and then
Yep.
I started getting compliments and things at gigs. Um, we're growing here, so I got another video booth. I got one of the top light um, LED facade DJ booths.
Hmm.
Um, it's a great DJ booth too. It's very eye catching. It is a lot brighter, like than the TV in a Toad booth. It is also way heavier. So,
Sure. Yeah.
depending on how you transport your gear and how much you like pushing heavy weight, the Toad booth is way easier on your back, but the LED video panel booth is pretty eye catching. I do still run the S9. I ditched the turntables. I've been criticized by it, but my
Like
mixing style, honestly,
controversial move.
yes, everybody thinks it, including my fiance.
Yeah.
She's like, it just doesn't look like a DJ booth if you don't have the wheels.
Yeah.
Well, I don't scratch.
Yeah.
Um, the way that I run my software and the way I DJ, I really don't nudge much. And if the one or two times during the night I need to, I can do it with the mouse or I can adjust with the mixer. So I do DJ probably about 75% of my weddings now with just a Pioneer S9 mixer.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. I definitely know that I am not good enough at mixing yet to do that. I still do nudge quite a bit with my controller and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I got to get better at. It's always a learning experience for sure. What about in the Danny Max then? What are you running in there?
So the Danny Max, that's the Pioneer SZ2.
Ooh, classic.
Um, I love so the SX2 by far. I think that will be the top DJ controller forever
Yeah.
as far as mobility and the tools that are built in. I've got an XDJ XZ right behind me. I think eventually I just have fun playing it with it in my office, but I don't really need a $2,500 controller just sitting in my office. So it
Yeah.
should probably go in one of the booths eventually. But as far as being multi-op and some of the other DJs using the different booths and things, the SZ is super easy for everybody to jump on and be comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah. I uh I have a very similar setup to Jesse. So uh it's a classic one that like you said, just always works, and it's a familiar layout with Pioneer that everybody knows it. You can jump on it if you've come from an SX or an XX3, anything like that. You just hop on and you're pretty comfortable with it. So it's a really
Mm-hmm.
it's a really good controller, and it's one of those it's probably what 9 years old at this point.
I
Um,
actually I have back behind all my shoes.
yeah,
There's a poster there that lists all the Pioneer controllers and turntables and the years they came out. So I could tell you if I got back behind there. But yeah,
no, it's another one, but it
it's been
just
around for quite
works.
a while. But
Yeah, and if
when
you
you
just take
build
care of it,
something good,
yeah,
you build something good, they stick around for a long time.
yeah, like I said, it's just a workhorse that just does a really, really nice job. Um, so that's kind of your audio stuff. What are you doing for lighting? What do you do for lighting at
So
your events and things like
lighting,
that?
I loved the gig bar when it came out. I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. I think we all did. We're like, oh my
Yep.
gosh, just this little case and we can throw it up.
I do remember
Um,
telling my wife that I won't ever have to buy another light ever. Bought two of them. I was like, I'm good forever.
we all had that vision, I think. And then
Yeah.
a lot of us have come to reality, and there's still a few, I think, that are going to come around eventually. I do keep things simple.
Hmm.
I'm not, I don't bring in a huge production. For most of my weddings, I run a pair of wash effects, whether they're the wash effects twos, wash effects hexes. I've also now purchased a pair of those new Chauvet Megapar 24s. I have those programmed. They're just like the wash effects is, just different wattage and
Yeah.
things like that.
Those would be the eliminator ones, not the Chauvet ones.
Oh, Eliminator. Okay.
Yeah. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. Um, those ones I do know. I noticed build quality. They're quite a bit heavier. They're probably twice the weight of the wash effects of the Chauvets.
Hmm.
But like the bracket is super thick. So if you're looking for rugged, those build quality is good. Now, I will say I have not had those very long, so I cannot vouch for longevity, but they seem very, very tough. But I think I have 8 pairs of the wash effects, different models, and they're just workhorses. They're
Yeah.
bright enough. They do everything you need to do, and they keep it classy. That you don't have to run a ton of cables. You can just stick a Donner wireless in there and stick it anywhere in the venue if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so you use the Donner wireless stuff for your lighting. What
Yep,
what
Donner, and then for DMX, again, I keep it simple. I use the American DJ My DMX 3.0. Most of my scenes are either static color scenes or kind of slow fades. I don't do a lot of crazy. I don't want to induce
hmm.
seizures for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
And then all of our uplighting is wireless DMX as well. And I actually started including uplighting in our top package because it just adds so much when it comes to that DMX dance floor lighting time.
Yeah.
Um, and people do appreciate it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Um, so do you have a favorite piece of equipment?
Favorite piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So I do love my Pioneer S9. That is, if I go anywhere that I just need to take a little piece, um, I would say my Denon Prime Go has been one of the biggest saviors as far as versatility. Um, it's gotten me out of some pinches, and especially now that it has controller mode where you can hook a computer up to it.
Yep.
We didn't understand at the beginning why they didn't include that, because you
Hmm.
could do it with the other Denon controllers, and why didn't they just use the
Yeah.
software? But they finally jumped on it, and you can hook a controller to it now. There's been multiple times actually where myself or one of our other DJs has kind of saved a wedding when the electricity has gone out, and we have the joy of battery powered ceremony speakers, and then you have a laptop. So if you just have a battery powered ceremony speaker and a laptop and maybe some battery powered uplights, you still have a dance party and they love you. The addition of
Yep.
that Prime Go, you can still mix. So you can still
Yeah.
actually mix music with no electricity or out in a cornfield. I use it for ceremonies. And I know a lot of people will DJ ceremonies with just an iPad or a
Hmm.
laptop. And I did for years. I run my microphones. There's 2 microphone inputs in that Prime Go. It
Hmm.
gives me full control over those. I just have so much more control when I'm running with that Prime Go. No, I don't
Yeah.
mix ceremony music,
Hmm.
but you do have those gentle fades. Maybe one track's a little bit louder because you had to yank it off of YouTube or something
Yeah.
silly. You know, like
Yep.
things happen with ceremonies. Um, we don't want to do that, but
Sometimes you got to do what you got
they
to
find
do.
their music in some weird places these days.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, I'd say that Prime Go, as far as versatility wise and getting me out of some pinches, that Prime Go
Mhm.
has been clutch for sure.
Sure. And those now, since you mentioned that you're doing that with that it has the controller mode, so you're a VDJ guy, not a Serato guy?
Yep. So back in the day, I was a purist and I followed other
Yep.
people. And all my club days, everybody used Serato, so I used Serato. And the more I got into weddings and the more weddings I was doing, um, I just found some tools for me in virtual DJ that Serato didn't have at the time, and there's still some
Hmm.
things Serato doesn't have. For example,
Yeah.
the auto mix feature.
Yeah.
So no, I do not auto mix like while dance party's going, but cocktail hour and dinner, I'm very hands on, running around the room, checking with vendors. I can't be at the controller every 3 minutes switching songs. I
Yeah.
don't mix during dinner and cocktail hour. I know East Coast weddings, and there's other people who,
Hmm.
they're hardcore. You have to mix during this. Um, I'm more, I want the guests to be taken care of and everybody on the same page. And maybe they
Yeah.
have a staff member that's running around and doing that. But auto mix can get you out of a pinch if you need to maybe go to the restroom,
Run to the
or,
restroom or something. Yep.
there's different things. And the auto mix in virtual DJ is very seamless. It'll actually beat match for you if they're within certain BPMs.
Yeah.
Um, so I just found that, and also the resources. So Serato does take a lot more computer power than virtual DJ. And I started to see that. I used to DJ off a Windows computer probably 10, 12 years ago. I really noticed it with those. When I go to Mac, I don't notice it nearly as much. But still, I'm just big on redundancy and I want everything to work. I never want my laptop to freeze, and it's
Yeah.
never frozen with virtual DJ.
Yeah.
So when I find something that works good, I'm just going to stick with it.
I do have to call you out a little bit. I don't mean to do this, on the podcast and everything, but he is a Windows home computer guy, Apple DJ, and he's an
It's true.
Android user. So, we're not
Oh,
going to
you're
give him full credit for everything that he hasn't come over to the
going
good
in
side
on
on
the Android.
everything. Yeah. I mean, we gotta call you out. I gotta call him like I see him, bud. So, just something that you guys need to know about Jesse before you decide what kind of person he is. So,
Yeah, I will still not claim to like Apple. I don't like Apple.
yeah,
But when it comes to DJ software and running the computers,
yeah,
I will tell anybody they're more reliable.
yeah. It just works. Nope, not a problem. Um, so I see on the last thing I kind of had with your equipment is, so how do you transport? You say you have a couple different booths. What do you use to transport that stuff?
So a few years ago, I got a high roof Ram ProMaster, and actually before that, I acquired a handicap accessible minivan.
Okay.
So there was no seats in this van, and actually the floor of this van was dropped 8 inches, and it had a ramp installed. And ironically, the ramp was about 3 or 4 inches wider than my toad booth. It was like it was made for my toad booth.
Yeah.
Um, so I DJ'd out of that for a couple of years. I could get everything in there. I could get my toad booth, my speakers, even a photo booth and monogram projector. I could load everything in that minivan. And then, as us DJs do, we keep acquiring things and our toys get bigger, and
Yep.
stuff just happens. So I did get this ProMaster. It's a monster. It's huge. Um, One of my big fears when I had that minivan was I was going to show up at a venue with the Toad booth and not be able to get it where I needed to get it. And that was always a little anxiety of mine. Um, I do site surveys. I know a lot of the venues I go to, but there's always that one situation of like maybe you
Yeah.
assume you're not on the stage and then they want you on the stage.
Or there's something else that's happening that you didn't realize was happening and you can't go where you thought you could go.
True.
Yeah, all
So
that
I
stuff.
do. I do haul both of my DJ booth setups all the time. They're always loaded. So if I, and it's even happened this year where I got there assuming I'm going to use a video booth and I get there and the stage is 4 foot high. And the only way to get up there is this little itty bitty staircase. So if I didn't have the Danny Max with me, I would have been absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
I would have
No,
been up
that's
there on a folding table with an S9 and probably a table cover or something.
yeah. Back to the good old days.
Yeah.
You might want to keep a gig bar in the ProMaster just for that. So, do you have a favorite piece of equipment that you don't own yet, but you really want to? Whether that be like a controller or something different that you're able to offer clients or anything like that, something that you're working towards acquiring to kind of take your stuff to the next level, anything like that?
So I've had my eye for years on a video wall.
Okay.
There's a big hole in our market for corporate clients, and I know video wall is something that's needed in this area. I believe there's only one person in my market that even owns one. Um, so I want a video wall really bad. Um, I've got the capability to haul it. I've had financing for it. I've just been nervous to pull the trigger. One of the things is storage. So I
Yeah.
think I need to acquire a big storage unit, or maybe it's time to get a shop, one of the two. But it's all about just validating expenses and
Hmm.
am I doing it right? Is it worth it? So video wall definitely is high up on my list of things that I want.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you know this, but we sell video walls at NLFX. So if you ever wanted to get one, you're more than welcome to talk to myself or anybody else about
And
getting
now I
one.
feel I just got sucked into like a timeshare situation. Like, hey,
I mean,
Jesse,
a
will you
little
be on a
bit.
podcast?
Yeah,
And
it's
oh,
it's
by
a
the way,
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not totally like that, but um, so now we're gonna kind of get to NLFX. I work there, and they're the one we're presenting this podcast through them and all that kind of stuff. And so the things that we're kind of looking to know, and we're trying to give the message out to people that aren't necessarily fans yet, people who we haven't reached, who haven't heard about us. Because as much as we've been around, and a lot of people are just like, well, how do you not know? There's a ton of people that come to us every day. Man, I just found you guys. I can't believe that it took me this long. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never even heard your name. And we kind of want to change that. We want to change that attitude about, what we do and how we sell it and all that kind of stuff. So, um, how did you learn about NLFX?
so I think I really learned about NFX. I met the owner at a conference. Like, how
Okay.
often do you meet the owner of a high end audio company and that's your intro to the business, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's how I learned was I met Ben Stowe at a conference and or maybe he even spoke that year. That might have been, he might have been a presenter. But then I started learning about the company and couldn't believe I'd never heard of them before
Hmm.
and don't know that I've hardly bought anything from anywhere else since.
Yeah. So, so you said like what was it about Ben that kind of brought you in and made you intrigued to learn more about NLFX and kind of keeps you coming back?
So Ben's just a regular person.
Yeah.
Like you think about the owner of Sweetwater, the owner of Guitar Center, like you're never going to get in the same room with them. You're never going to sit down and talk nerdy microphone talk or speaker talk with them.
Yeah.
Ben genuinely likes having conversations and genuinely wants to learn about your needs. And he will put his own time in to make sure he gets you what you need. The best example, which I think is mind blowing, is ordering a microphone from Ben. He will pull up a map of where you live and find out what the best band based on TV broadcasts and cell phone broadcasts. I don't even know everything he looks up, but I just know Ben is going to send me in the right direction. And I genuinely do not think there's another company out there that will do that.
Yeah, we like to hear that we give that personalized customer service. And the other thing that I really like that you said is that we make sure that you get what you need, not what you want. So sometimes those are the same exact thing, but you might call us and say, well, this is what I'm looking for, and this is the piece of equipment that I think that I should get. Like, Well, I mean, yeah, you could do it with that, but I don't know that you're going to get what you're looking for out of it.
Hmm.
And I when I started working with NLFX, one of the biggest things that they said before is we are not here to make sales, we're here to make relationships. So obviously we have to make sales to keep the lights on, the people employed, all that kind of stuff, obviously. But if selling you something for $1,000 means that that's the only thing I'm ever going to sell you because it's not what you need, but I'm going to talk you into buying it anyway because it's $1,000, and you could have gotten the same thing accomplished with a $120 piece of equipment. I'm going to say that $120 piece of equipment because that's what you actually need. It's
Hmm.
not it's not what we want to do because I can make the 1,000 10 times over if we serve you right, do the right thing, get you the right thing every time. And so I think that's the biggest thing that um, and I really like hearing you say that, that's what they do and they keep me coming back for that. Um, so aside from Ben, which is everybody's favorite thing about NLFX, um, what is it that kind of NLFX does that you think is the best part about what we do or how we treat customers or anything like that?
I think it's just the genuine relationships. You just mentioned it, but um, it's really easy to just say, okay, I want some Chauvet wash effects. You go on Google. Of course, these other companies spend a lot more on Google to get
Yeah,
their name to pop up. And sometimes maybe their prices are even cheaper because they're running a sale, but it's just a sales funnel. Not to say you're gonna get the same product. Essentially, they're selling the same thing, but that relationship means so much to me. Also, since I bought my first set of NLFX XLR cables, and I bought a lot of them,
yeah,
um, I've never bought another brand because, like, for one, they have a lifetime warranty, which is a no brainer. I mean,
yeah,
any tool you can get with a lifetime warranty, you just get it. So
yeah,
you break it, you get more. But also, everything into these XLR cables, you just feel that it's higher quality.
yeah,
Any other XLR cable I've ever had in my hand, I felt like it was going to break, or I felt like the connector was going to come disconnected eventually. And I've never felt that way about an NLFX cable. And that's one of my favorite products from NLFX is those cables. And they build them themselves. They don't
yeah.
go to China and say, hey, we need 1,000 of these cables. Like sometimes
Well,
Ben will, my understanding, go to the office and build some to get an order shipped out the next day.
yeah, 100% does. Like, if you go back into our tech room, there's a guy named Lee or Ben or another person on Lee's team sitting there soldering connections, making sure everything's working right, testing it with our moat tester and the whole thing. So it is something that we definitely pride ourselves on is our cables, and like you said, the customer experience. So I definitely appreciate you saying that. So a little bit different question, kind of still related to NLFX because we're always trying to do better. We're always trying to get better at what we do. If you could say anything, what is maybe something that NLFX could improve on in the future to maybe get and keep even more clients? Is there something that you have ever seen or noticed that maybe there's something we can work on to get a little bit better?
That's a tough one because, and I'm not saying this because you've got an
Yeah,
NLFX shirt on or
yeah,
that I need Ben to like me because we're already friends.
yeah,
Um, but he runs honestly the business how I would want to run my own business. So it's really hard critiquing. I think the one thing I would say is making it more visible to people. I think anybody in the industry who's been to a conference or in the lighting and sound high up, the big sound and stuff, they
hmm,
knew who they know who NLFX is. But to the general consumer, the general DJ getting into the business, I don't think it's popping up high on the Google searches, and I think
yeah,
that's the tough thing to get these new guys. They're of course looking for the lowest price. They
yep,
Google search and whatever the lowest price is going to pop up. So that's really the only thing that I think they can do better is like figure out somehow to get in front of those new guys and say, hey, we're here too. and there's a lot of these big
Yeah.
box stores, um, but we sell the same stuff at essentially the same prices with
Yeah.
maybe even better warranty or better, um, you know, options. But it's really just being visible to them, and I don't have an answer as to how to do it.
Okay. Yeah. It's
Um,
it's it's the age old question, the SEO and all that kind of stuff. So that's a tough one. Something we've definitely taken to heart. We've recently hired a new marketing gal who's fantastic, and she's working on getting us higher up on the SEO, the Google things, and she's doing a really great job. And I think we got a lot of really good things coming because of being able to bring her on and do that. But I appreciate your honesty, and I appreciate you really joining me today for this first episode here um, of the Soundstage. Do you want to tell anybody how they can find you or do anything if they have any follow-up questions or anything? Are you cool if people reach out to you about that?
yeah, so I mean, first and foremost, I love networking. I've had DJs that are just passing through Omaha. They want to message me and get together for lunch. Digital Dave was just here a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Got my buddy Quayne coming through town here in a few days. So if anybody just passes through the middle of the Midwest nowhere and wants to grab lunch and talk
Yeah.
DJ stuff, definitely um, message me on Facebook. I'm 41 years old, so Facebook is my
Yeah.
social of
It's
choice.
your jam.
I'm not really active on many of the other ones, but my website is chaosproductionsweddings.com. Anybody's welcome to kind of check out what we do. I'm open to critiques or anything like that. And I'm here to help. So if you don't reach out to Kyle and you want to reach out to me and ask my opinion on things, just add me on Facebook and we'll chat it up.
Yeah. Awesome. We appreciate that. And guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to him. Make sure you reach out to me, Kyle D at NLFXpro.com. Make sure to check out our website, NLFXpro.com. And make sure to like and follow. We got more episodes coming out. We're going to be doing a few live episodes with some big names coming up. So we're really excited about that. Jesse, again, thank you so much for being with me on this inaugural run of the Soundstage podcast. Um, I hope everybody has a wonderful night, and we'll talk to everybody later. All right.
All right.
Take care,
Thank you.
everybody.